is to research. So what does this show? This shows that in case there is tertiary source, there is less to research about it. Already much is known about it. It is already available on open domain. But if you go to primary source, that is less information is available, and that's why it is worthy of research. It needs research. And I need to tell you that if it is primary data, which is new research, new knowledge can be generated. And when you generate new knowledge, you can get better research publications. Right? Having said that, I move to the next. Like I told you, having just talked to you about data and telling you what are the 3 different types of data and telling you what is the difference between a research paper and a PhD thesis, I also need to tell you that a research paper can be written maybe in a few weeks, with the work done maybe 6 months. But a PhD thesis is taken down for a longer duration of time, almost 3 to 6 years. Yeah, so that is the difference. Then coming to literature review. Why did I say that literature review? Before you apply for your PhD, maybe some people might have cleared PET, some people might have cleared NET, some people are not interested in a PhD but want to do research. For all such people, literature review, what is the use of literature review and why do we need literature review, right? From the beginning to the end, whoever is interested in science research must get into literature review. What is literature review? Literature review helps you answer the what, why, when, where, who. Let us say I'm very sure I'm a doctor and I want to do research on cancer. People are saying, oh, there's already so much research done on cancer. What are you going to do? That is what. What to do in cancer research, only research review or literature review will tell you. So whenever a student comes to me to do research and he says, I want to work on a particular topic, I tell him, what do you want to work on? How will he know? For that, he should have knowledge of what is already published. What is the existing knowledge? What is the existing information available? Right? So that is the first, that is what. Then you will see this big thing, how. How are you going to do this research? For that, whatever one to understand what has been done. When you know what has been done, you will know what needs to be done. Today, not just Government of India, a lot of money goes into research funding. For research funding, if you write a research project, new ideas, novel ideas, which is not known before. One. Second, which is of social benefit, right? Socio-economic benefit. So for that, you need to know what are the topics, how relevant are they to today's society, if the nation needs it, if the world needs it, if the society needs it, how much work has been done. Second, by reading it, you get to see maybe sometimes some methods are wrong. To be able to identify which method is advanced, which method is obsolete, that is, which method has gone away with time. It is an old method, old system. To be able to understand that, for that also you need to read past literature, past research papers. Another thing, let us say cancer research was done when? 20 years ago, 30 years ago, 100 years ago. That means it is old research, old data. New symptoms are coming in. For example, microwaves. We all use microwaves at home. Microwaves are carcinogenic. It is not very safe for utilizing. But how will cancer research, which is 50 years old or 100 years old, know it? Because microwaves we never used at home regularly. So for that, to understand what is the impact of microwaves, you will, so that's why, when was the past data done? So on the basis of, it is very old data, new data doesn't exist, and that's why I want to do this research. Why should you do it? Because it is affecting our reproductive system. It is affecting small children. It is affecting our doctor bills. I'm going to doctor more. It is affecting my blood test reports. I'm paying more and more money for that. So what is the problem? Why is it a problem? How is it affecting me? Right? Where all, for example, sometimes some research could be done abroad. So it could be a different guidelines for India. I request everyone to please mute themselves. Because when you're speaking amongst yourselves, it disturbs me. Sudha ma'am, can you please mute yourselves? Yes. So I was just coming to it that the main thing is your research, your past review of literature helps you identify all this. Apart from that, who has done this research? For example, if a scientist from a renowned institute has done this research, you can maybe trust that information. But where is it coming from? Oh, a very novice, a new institute or a new place where there is no facility, there is no training, there is no information, there is no training to this child or person who has published that data. For such a person, it matters if you can trust that data or you cannot trust that data. Right? So these are all that. I will give you a small example. This is an example of my own research. I chose this as a study area. If you know, this is Bay of Bengal and this is Myanmar. This was my study area. On what basis did I choose my study area? When I was told, this is going to be a study area, I was supposed to say why, how to choose my objectives. For example, I should know what is to be studied there. Why do I need to study there? And to study that, what should be my method? For understanding that, I need to understand that area. I need to understand its climate. I need to understand its geography. I need to understand the interaction of life and climate there to understand if I have to do any biodiversity studies here. So for that, what did I do? I went into past literature. When I started looking at past literature, I saw that in this entire Bay of Bengal, there were 67 past papers. So there was a lot of work already done. Why should I do something there? Correct. So then I came up to it. No, in my study area, in this entire 67, but in this study area, there were only 5 papers which existed. Only 5 research material or any information existed only for 5 papers. So I started looking at what are they. Look at this. Can you see? These were the 5 and I realized there is a data gap. Hiatus in data. There was a major hiatus in data. If you say these were the only papers, foraminifera. Foraminifera is what I am expert in. They are microscopic unicellular organisms which exist like sand grains in the ocean. And they help me in understanding past climate and predicting future climate. So what I'm talking to you is about the data and information available in my study area. So what I saw that there was only one published work and all the others were published in the Union of Burma. That is not accessible to international community. This was just an interim report of the government, in general not accessible. This was Journal of Union of Burma, written in Burmese, no one could read it. And this only published literature was done almost 30 years ago. And in this 30 years, so what did it tell me? One, most of the work was not accessible. Second, there was no way to understand illustration. You are saying it is this species, that species, 140 species were told. But this 140 species, there is no plates, no figures, no descriptions to say that this is that species. Apart from that, I also realized that whatever taxonomy method was used was wrong. It was age-old. My PhD was between 2002 to 2008. So in 30 years, I could see that the method that had been used was obsolete. Obsolete means something that was redundant. It had gone off. It was very old. So because of this, I found there was a very good scope of finding some new knowledge in this area. Like, can you see? Another thing that I saw was when I started working on it, I realized after I got all my data, again, I needed literature survey. In my study, I found 737 species. Previously, only 140 species had been found. So I generated new information, new research that this place is much more biodiverse than reported before. Right? In that, if I saw that out of the 737, these were the common. 230 species were common to Bay of Bengal. 35 species were common to this. And so I could find my area was comparable to which climate, which ocean body, which current system. And so how can I use it? So I could also say that 154 Indo-Pacific species had never been. So this place, the Indo-Pacific species, was very different than the Arabian Sea. So I could say that this Indo-Pacific or this eastern part of India or this entire Bay of Bengal was more similar to the South China Sea or the Indo-Pacific than the Arabian Sea or the Atlantic. So this was the kind of information that I started giving. Apart from that, I'm just giving you some more examples. If you see, when you look at past information, you get to know where has past studies been done, how many species have been reported. I want you all to understand that you should do this for your own. Someone could be from physics, someone could be from geography, someone could be from botany, zoology, earth sciences. When I'm doing this, I'm giving you examples from my own study, but I would want you to find your own interest. Another thing, in case you want me to stop somewhere and ask a question, please feel free to interrupt me and ask a question. Okay. As I go ahead, another thing is, when we are like literature survey, what does it help you? One, it helps you identify, for example, here, it helped me identify my objectives. On the basis of this, I was able to say that I will report the different species here because it has not been done. I will revise the taxonomy. Third, I will compare it with different areas and assign my area to a biogeographic province. Apart from that, I also decided that because there was no past data, there was no past information of how these species changed with climate, I also decided that I will also not just sample the surface, I will also take a core and reconstruct the past climate. So on the basis of past information, past literature, I was able to, one, decide my objectives. Second, I could decide my method. Which method should I follow? That is not just surface sampling, but even subsurface sampling. Okay, so this is how studying past literature helps you understand, one, set your objectives. Second, decide your methodology. Third, compare your results with global information and be able to say what is the significance of your work. If you don't know the past information, you will not be able to say how your work is different from before, how you are producing new knowledge than before. Or another thing, for example, when I was working in my area, I was finding this species abundantly. And I was finding it in all samples in my study area, right from shallow water of 10 meters to about 1,000 meters. So when I started finding this, I did not know why I was finding it. So what I started doing is I started looking at different literatures. And what did I find? That it was found from every report of East Coast of India, Java, Myanmar, Mahakam is Indonesia. So can you realize, I already said my area is very similar to the South Pacific. and it was not available in anywhere on the west coast of India and onwards. That is, I was not finding it in anywhere in Arabian Sea and Atlantic Ocean. So it started ringing. So I wanted to know why. This was new knowledge that I created. I feeling this is indicating something. Climatic, some oceanographic, oceanographic information. So because of that, so how can you develop a proxy or develop any, it can be, it could be if you're working on nanomaterial. How can you develop a nanomaterial? That is by understanding what are its different characteristics. And how will you know about its different characteristics? First, by understanding what has been reported about it. You can't keep looking at every material. You can't do every analysis yourself. And even if you do every analysis yourself, you need money for that. You need time for that. If you write a project proposal, someone will say, oh, this information is already known. So you will not get the project. So for that, what you need to do is you need to go back at previous literature and first find out what is already known. Once you know what is already known, you get to find out what is not known. And that is the information that you have to find. So what I started doing is I took all the 133 samples collected over 2 lakh square kilometer of my area. I had 133 samples in my entire area. From that, what I did, every location had a different salinity. So in all the 40 or 50 samples that I had found, Astrotalia trispinosa, I plotted this graph. And on the basis of that, I saw that the highest abundances are found at this salinities. So I found out that the preference of this species is so much. This was a new information that I provided to the world. It was new information which got published in international peer-reviewed journals with high impact factor. So what is it? This is just one finding. So what I'm trying to tell you, a research paper can communicate a particular finding. It has only one objective. But a PhD thesis has all this that I'm telling you. Everything I'm telling you is from one PhD thesis. So what did I do? I found out, okay, I need you to understand that the salinity of the open ocean is 35 to 36 PSU. PSU means grams per liter. Okay, so that is 35 grams in 1 liter, 35 grams salt in 1 liter of water. So you can understand, so what does it mean? That the salinity preference of Trispinosa was a low salinity. It liked low salinity. So whenever the salinity is low, its abundances will be high. So then I used this information for something else. What I did was, I took a sediment core. I went to the ocean bottom. From the ocean bottom, I collected about 200 centimeter core. And this 200 centimeter core, I subsectioned into different sections. And from every section, I picked out these foraminifera. I also dated it using lead-210 and radiocarbon dating. Lead-210 for the top 80 years, not even 80 years, 30 years. And then as I went down, I did it using carbon C14 or radiocarbon dating. And on the basis of that, I started plotting my information. And what I saw is, at these 3 points, I got 3 major peaks of Astrorhynchia trispinosa. What does Astrorhynchia trispinosa high abundances say? That whenever there are high abundances, there is low salinity. Now this is in the ocean. In the ocean, salinity is reducing. When will the salinity reduce? When the river is stronger. When will the river be stronger? When there is more warming, when there is more rainfall, when there is more glacial ice melt. So on the basis of that, I was able to tell the world that during these 3 periods, there were stronger monsoons at this time. There was more melting, the temperature was warmer, and this is data only for the past 500 years. Now, there was something more interesting. During these 3 durations, in north of Europe or in Europe, the Europeans had reported little ice age. That means in the same time, the higher latitudes had ice age, and I'm saying that in the tropics, I'm getting warmer temperatures. So this became a big debate. This was new information. This became a new debate. But it is possible because we have the Earth's tilt. So in case there is a tilt away from the sun, if there is a tilt away from the sun, then the higher latitudes will be colder and the tropics will be warmer. So this led to some new information. So this is how I'm trying to tell you. Someone is speaking. Excuse me. Ma'am, can you please mute yourself? Yeah, is it okay? Okay, I think with so much, I'm going to skip a few and okay, maybe I will share this. There's another case study that I would want to share with you. This is the Goa's mining industry, where now it is different. About 20 years from now, this was very common in Goa. We know Goa mining industry is 100% export oriented. And because it is 100% export oriented, what happens is you do open cast mining. And this open cast mining, whatever is the waste material, the overburden is stacked up like this on maybe agricultural land, forest land. And all this during monsoon, can you see this dust? All this dust with winds, it gets blown into water bodies. And this is what is seen. These water bodies, all along in entire Goa, you will see that it is rich in iron ore. Okay? And because it is rich in iron ore, what happens is there is lack of productivity. It increases the turbidity of the water bodies. And because it is increasing the turbidity of the water bodies, sunlight cannot penetrate. And because of no sunlight penetration, the benthic, that is the productivity on the ocean floor, reduces. So the main problem is when this started, I was actually looking at foraminifera in the Goan estuaries, Mandavi and or coastal water bodies. When I started looking at the foraminifera in these bodies, what I found was, one second, maybe I should show you this. Yeah. When I was looking at that, what I found out is the total foraminiferal number in the Mandavi estuary, that is the northern estuary, had gone down and the ore production had increased. Okay, so whereas in the Zuari estuary, the TFN had gone down, the ore production had gone down and the TFN had increased. When I put this up, my guide was, are you mad? This is not possible. The industry is booming like hell. And when the industry is booming, how can the ore production go down? So that is when I went and started looking at past literature. I'm telling you the importance of past literature. I started looking at, this is the catchment, that is a river flows and which all water comes there. So in case you see the catchment of Zuari and Mandavi, here you can see that the area under mining lease had completely reduced. So if you see the entire in Zuari, there are three talukas. Here, the mining percentage had reduced with time. This had completely closed down. Whereas in Ponda, here it had also reduced. Okay, so how come the catchment area, and here again, 50% of this catchment was also shared by Zuari. So one thing is for sure, that the area under mining lease had reduced. Now, what could be the reason? If you see, North Goa has got iron and South Goa has manganese. So when I started, again, I started saying, okay, mining lease, why should the mining lease reduce? South Goa is Zuari. North Goa is Mandavi. Mandavi mining lease is not yet reduced, but South Goa mining lease has reduced. What is the reason? Again, I went out and looked at data and I found out that iron production has increased with time. Whereas in Goa, the manganese production has reduced with time. Again, to find out what is the reason, I went and looked at the Exporters Association. I saw that the steel making technology in the world has changed. In the 70s or in the early whatever this time, the steel used a lot of manganese. But with time, manganese demand has reduced all over the globe and iron production has increased. So this explained that because there is increase in iron ore production, there is reduced foraminiferal number because more turbidity, more pollution, more sand, silt, clay, and dust is entering the water bodies in North Goa, whereas it has reduced in South Goa. So now, in general, when you look at what are the different purposes of literature review, one, find out what information already exists. On the basis of that, identify the gaps in literature. Find other people who are working in your field, that is, who are the different publishers, who all, for example, when I started working with Foraminifera and Mandavi Zuari, and I was talking about iron ore, I am an oceanographer, I am a foraminiferologist, a biologist. Why should I look at iron ore? Because iron ore is my pollutant. It is my pollutant. And where is it coming from? It is coming from mining industry. Where is the mining industry product going? It is going to the steel. It is going for export. So in that way, it is important to understand who are the other people related to my field. So when I'm producing primary data, I also need secondary data from Indian Meteorology Department, oceanography, Navy, mining. I need all this. Identify major seminal works, that is, who are the landmark works which will support or maybe abduct my work. That is, maybe it supports you or it may be completely is opposite, or what you are doing, your theory and their theory is different. Identify main methodologies and research techniques. What new research techniques have come in? What is old? Identify main ideas, conclusions, theories, and establish similarity and differences. You just saw. I just say it is similar to this, it is not similar to this, right? Provide a context for your own research. That is, what is your hypothesis? Where does your work come? That is something that you're able to show. Show relationships between, like I told you, in the end, like what did I just show you? I saw that in the same 3 durations where I was finding melting, warming, more rainfall, during the same time, there was reports from Europe which said it was ice age. So you should be able to find out what is the relationship between your work and the same work produced by different parts of the world, by different people. Maybe you should be able to say, oh, my methodology and his methodology was different. That's why our results are different. My data is continuous data. His data is very sporadic data, very less data. You should be able to say, no, I live in a higher latitude, they live in a lower latitude. That's why the difference. Oh, no, everywhere the same information is coming. So the information or the research or the data is not dependent on geography or not dependent on temperature. So for doing that, to be able to say that, to be able to say this new information, you should be able to do past literature survey. Yes, doing literature search. What does it mean? First, understand your question. What is your question? One second. What is the question that you want to address? After that, to be able to do that also, you need to first organize your thoughts. First, what are you wanting to do? Why do you want to do? What is its scope? Identify the perspective. Perspective is, that is, what is your outlook? Is it socio-economy? Is it groundbreaking theoretical research? Is it application research? What is your perspective? You may have a perspective climate change doesn't exist. It is just a scam. You could be having a perspective it is man-made climate change. You could have a perspective no, this is nature-driven climate change. So what is your perspective? And are you open to take others' perspectives? That is point of view. That is something you need to see. You should also know which search engines you should find. For different kinds of data, you have different search engines. Which are search engines? Bing is a search engine. Google Chrome is a search engine, right? Science Direct is a search engine. Google Scholar is a search engine. So you need to understand which is your search engine. You should be able to run a search and define and review your research. You start with an idea. When you do literature survey, your search or your review or your perspective gets redefined. While doing this, you should know which keywords you want to. Always never go only with abstract. Read the entire paper before you go ahead. Keep records. Produce a bibliography. What is a bibliography? Bibliography is a library. It's a collection of everything that you have read. Please remember, bibliography and literature and your reference list are different. I will come to you to that. What is a bibliography? Bibliography is just a library. But what is a reference list? I will tell you in the end what is a reference list. After you have done all this, write up all your findings, your observations. Write all your observations, and then again do literature survey to see, has someone found out that findings? Have they also got the same result? Or have they got different results? And on the basis of that, present your findings. So this is the importance of literature survey. Advancement of knowledge, creation of knowledge. Existing knowledge. On the basis of existing knowledge, you will be able to find a research topic. On the basis, like just said, uncover the existing knowledge. To stay updated for 5 years when you're doing your PhD, you need to know naya kaun sa paper aaya. My objectives, have they become old? Has someone else already researched on my objective? Generate new data and knowledge. Communicate, that is, publish papers. And when you publish papers, refer, cite previous people's work. Give references. Otherwise, it will be called plagiarism. And when you're doing this, create a team. All your students, your team members, they all should do good practices of non-plagiarism, of producing your own primary data, right? So you do all that, and in this way, the knowledge is advanced. You can probably take a picture of this, which says it helps you do all this. With this, I move to the next part. Having said that, okay, continuously I'm doing. So literature review, when you do literature review is a complete process from day one to your viva voce. If you decide to stop your research, then. I'm audible, right? Because I'm not hearing anything from anyone.
Audible, ma'am.
Yeah, just give me a minute. I want to get my AC on. Just give me 1 minute. I'll come back. I will start when this question. I will start here somewhere. When it's not. Yeah, I'm back. Can I just ask, am I connecting? Because I'm not seeing any one of you. All your screens are off. Am I connecting, and whatever I'm saying, is it of any use to you all?
Ma'am, it is interesting. It is connecting, ma'am.
Yeah, because I'm not, so one is yes, it's interesting, but do you think it is of use? Because that's how I was supposed to say structuring. So now as I go to your thesis, here is where I'll talk about your structuring, right? I think we are almost 1 hour from where we started.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think in another 45 minutes, I will try to finish the structuring of your thesis. There is one portion that I'm not going to touch upon, that is reference lists. How to prepare your difference, because I think you have a complete session on how to write references. And yes, writing a reference is a skill. So that is the last part of your thesis. But as I go ahead, I will now come into writing a thesis. I start with the second part of my talk. First was literature, and I just hope that all of you realized how important literature survey is, and that literature survey is a continuous process. That is, before you decide to give your interview, till you submit and also probably give your viva voce, right?
Yes.
So having said that, I move to my next. Yeah. What actually is your thesis? Most of us want to do that.
Yeah.
Everyone wants to get better, a better degree. Everyone wants to be more skilled. So I look at it as your thesis is you. When I see someone's thesis, it's very surprising. There are two things that people see. What do you think people see? One, people surely see what is the title of your thesis. Second, they say who is your guide or which organization you did it from. But what is another thing is people read your acknowledgement and people read your reference list. They're not interested in your findings. The first thing that they see is where have you done it from? Who all have you acknowledged? And the last is how well have you written your references? If your references are good, you are good. That is part of training. Your thesis is the only time. It also tells you project management. That is how to conceive a project to how to deliver a project effectively. For that, you need to plan it step by step. And that's why your thesis is actually it tells you about your potentials to a prospective employee. Many times, also your students, because they are going to come and see, and they're going to see what is the milestone you have set. And they need to do better than that, right? So I always say that your thesis is your marketing strategy. Before you sit down to start writing, now I am coming to a point where I am presuming that your entire literature survey is done, your data collection is done, you have identified a problem, you have collected data, you have found your information, you have qualitative and quantitative data. Okay, I think I have missed out on one slide. In data, just like primary, secondary, and tertiary data, you also have qualitative and quantitative data. What is quantitative data? Quantitative data is which you can say in numbers. So many kilometers, so many kgs, so much units of pH, so much degree of temperature, right? So all this is quantitative, and quantitative data can be converted into graphs. It can be graphically represented. Any pie chart ho, it can be bar graphs, it can be line graphs, it can be any. You can also do statistical analysis on that for better communication. What does statistical analysis do? Statistical analysis, let us say you have got 10,000 data points. It allows you to do some analysis, statistical analysis, and bring out a meaningful inference. Maybe I will have a slide for that, which I'll show you. That is quantitative data. What is qualitative data? Qualitative data, many humanities people do. For example, you are doing human-animal conflict and you are looking at, you do surveys. You go and ask people, okay, do you have tiger attacks? Since when are you staying here? How many? So that also has, some are quantitative, some are qualitative. That is how far the tigers are here from you. It is something that people are telling you. You cannot measure it yourself. For example, there was more rainfall, there was less rainfall. It was warmer, it was colder. Apart from that, descriptions. A tiger was big, tiger was small. There were so many cubs. Or maybe that is when you don't have the right measurements or the age of the tigers, it is all qualitative. How many species? How many species is quantitative, but the description of the species is qualitative. So taxonomical data many times is qualitative data. So you have two types of data and both data are important. Only thing you should know how to present it. So the first thing is, after all the data is in your hand, you need to sit down and you need to first say, what all data do I have? What all different kinds of data? Which is my primary data? Which is my secondary data? Which is my tertiary data? And how is it connected to each other? Second, prepare a skeleton, a broad outline. For example, this is something very common for all earth sciences or biological sciences also, where they deal with a study area. Maybe many of you don't have a study area. Maybe someone has a material. Someone has a hypothesis. Okay, someone has a particular, a chemical that they're working on. But broadly, all theses come under these three. Now, sometimes your results and discussions can be divided into 2 or 3 chapters. Results and discussions. For example, I have a student who's working on different nanomaterial for dye degradation. So what she has chosen to do is, one material, that composite material that she has created, she has put in, let us say TiO2, it's not TiO2, whatever, carbon and TiO2, she has put in one chapter, Zn and carbon in another chapter, and something else in another chapter, in which she has written complete results and discussions of that material in one chapter. So this is broadly what it should be, but your results and discussions can be divided into 2 or 3 chapters. For example, my first chapter was only taxonomy. That is, I only reported the description, qualitative and quantitative, of 737 species. That was my first one. My second chapter was only developing the proxy. That is Asterotalia trispinosa, its description, its occurrence, its preferences. I did statistical analysis to say, I did multivariate analysis to understand what it likes, what is it positively correlating to, and what is it negatively correlating to different environmental parameters. So that was my third chapter. My fourth chapter was on spatial data. That is, I had 36 samples on 2 lakh square kilometers. To describe it, to say how spatially the fauna was giving me different information. So that was another chapter. My last chapter was past climate reconstruction based on the cores. That is subsurface, where I showed you 200 years or last 500 years information. So in this way, you can make the results and discussions, the entire results related to one objective, you can put in a different chapter. In this way, it is easier to handle your thesis. Then this is the most important: acknowledgements and references. While you need to see, I have put it in red to show that it is most important part of your thesis. It may not be part of your main body, but you should not ignore this. Like I just told you, it is my experience of past 30 years where I see this is the first thing that people see. Fine. Introduction. It is very important. I generally tell people to write their introduction last. Introduction is the most difficult part, right? So it is really, really important that your introduction should be a reflection of what is in the thesis. So it is best that you write your first chapters, your later chapters first, and then modify the introduction according to what is inside. To make it interesting, these surely are what should be there. To make it interesting, for example, when I started on this, I started doing my thesis on foraminifera in Bay of Bengal, Burma. Why should someone be interested in Burma? And the question was, why was I working on Burma? And did it even have any importance? Why should we know anything about it? And that is when foraminifera are very good indicators of past climate. My PhD was between 2002 to 2008. The Intergovernmental Panel for Climate Change won the Nobel Prize for talking about climate change and its impacts in 2007. And in 2007, there was a report which came back from the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, in which they said that sea level rise will affect all countries starting from Pakistan, India, Bangladesh, Burma, Malaysia, Indonesia. I took that and put it in my introduction. I said, so it is important to study Myanmar, to study sea levels there, to study what are the resources there, to study how sea level rise will impact its climate or its sea levels. And there was another report that came from the World Bank governor. He said that climate is not an environmental issue, but it's a developmental issue. Because if there is any climate disaster, it will cause problems to all these low-lying poor nations, which already have less food and less GDP. So did you get what I'm trying to tell you? That it is important to have a background or an introductory para or some narrative extract from an important document. Today, with so much of, 7 sustainable development goals. Sustainable development goals are true for every field, right from economics to physics, chemistry, mathematics, engineering, anything. You will be able to find something in the UN document of SDGs. It's nice to look it up and see how can you correlate your work to this work. With the help of that, your thesis, your research paper, your project proposals, all three will get importance. After having said this, you should be able to say, what are you working on and why did you choose it? Why? I think I already told you why. Summarize the previous work. The previous work, whichever, the previous literature, it could be 5, it could be 100, it could be 200. You are supposed to summarize it. Okay, maybe in my next slide, I may have it. I'll just show you. What is the significance of the work that you propose to do? How is it important? And on the basis of all this, you should be able to say what is your objectives. So this all should come in your introduction. I already showed you what were my objectives. There is no data. Data is age-old. Taxonomic method is age-old. This, I already told you, low sea level, climate change. So on the basis of that, I gave my different objectives. Describe if there is any hypothesis or concept that you're going to follow in case. This is my previous literature. Now, I leave it to all of you. You can either tabulate your previous literature like this. What is it? Your author, your study area, and what is the topic. It can be the year, the author, what is the nanomaterial they are using, and what is their finding. It can also be their finding here. You have to modify this table according to you. Now it is your wish. Do you want to put the table in the thesis, or do you want to maintain this table for your understanding? Okay. For example, I had lots of literature, so I put a table in my thesis and I summarized it. And on the basis of this summary, I said that there is only 67 works in entire Bay of Bengal, out of which only 5 exist in my study area. And these 5 papers, whatever are its problems, I already told you. So I summarized my entire 65, 67 papers in my area to bring out the importance, to bring out the problems in the methodology, to bring out the data gap. So previous literature does not only mean isne ye kiya, usne wo kiya, who did what. Previous literature means bringing out the problems. That is, it was very old methodology. So I am going to use a new methodology. It was, that instrument doesn't have good, reliability. It doesn't have good precision. Now I'm going to use a new instrument with better precision and better, repeatability, right? So this is how you should be, on the basis of your previous literature, you should be able to summarize it in a paragraph. After, in case, if you don't do a table like this, you will have to write a paragraph about every paper. Okay, you will have to write a paragraph of every paper that exists in your study area or your field of research. Coming to study area. Some people may need this, some people may not need this. Study area or area of interest or your subject of interest, whatever are the different variables related, everything about your study area you should be able to put here. That is, which material, why that material, what is its strength, what are its weaknesses, what is its porosity, what are its different characters, what is it used for, what are the problems in using it. You should be able to say all that. So that's why I said, when I say study area, it could be something else for you, right? Another thing, in case you come from earth sciences, it is very, very important to have good illustrations. For example, a study area, it's very important to have a map. If I just told you that I was working in, I think I could have given you better maps of my study area in the present presentation, but it's not in our scope, so I didn't go there. A good map has a lat long. A good map has north shown. A good map has a scale which says that 5 centimeters is equal to 5 kilometers. Right? A good map shows where your study area locates in the world. So all such things. Now I'm talking about a map. For you, it could be characterization of a metal. Okay. I think, yeah, that's what I was showing you. Can you see this? A north is shown, a scale is shown, latitude and longitude is shown. It has a good index telling what are the different things that you're finding. Right? For example, this is the map. Where is this showing? This is showing you this area. For example, when I started studying, this is the hydrographic sheet. Now, this is not how I put it in. I prepared a different map. I cannot reproduce this. It is cut off. It is partial. So to show these locations, what did I do? I have a proper lat long. This is India, this is Andaman Sea. In this Andaman Sea, this is how my ocean floor is. These are my 136 locations which I have sampled. For showing these red maps, I have shown these different stars. I have redrawn it. Similarly, I was talking to you about Mandavi and Zuari. Right? What are the different locations of sampling? It's very important. Coming to methodology. in your methodology, it's very important to show what is the method that you're going to follow and why. You could have field work, you could have lab work. I would say, in case it is all lab work, some could be experimental work, some could be sample processing, sample preparation, all that, everything. You need to break it down. Just you can't say lab work. You must sit down and say, for characterization, I did this. For analysis, I did this. For chemical analysis, I did this. So you should, and after, can you see all this? Sample processing. Even for lab work, you have literature survey. You have digitization of your material, whatever it is, however that material is there. It could be digitization in terms of like RSG, remote sensing GIS, or it could be digitization that is sample you are characterizing and you're putting it in a digital image, which you have to put maybe in your presentation or your thesis. All your data needs to get digitized, that is put into soft copy, right? So all this needs to come in statistics, illustrations, photography, identification. How was identification done? What is reposition? All material needs reposition, not just floral, faunal, biological material or geological material. Reposition is to save it, to protect it. And when I say reposition, it means every sample needs to have a reference number. You need to give it a reference number. Tomorrow during your Viva or in the past, if someone comes and says, in your thesis, you have said that you created this material, I want to see that material. You should be able to know where in the lab, or your guide should know where in the department it is kept and what is the number and identification of that material. That is called reposition. That is storing it with right identification and storing it properly with a reference number. And that needs to come into your thesis. That reposition material should have an identification number which should be written in your thesis. I will give you a simple example of a flowchart. Here, this is all your methodology. You will write it in theory. But in this theory, it is easier when you also supplement it with a flowchart. Let us say this is my flowchart that is for my study area. In my study area, I knew I was going to work on sediment samples of that area. In that, I had surface samples and I had subsurface samples, that is cores. So what did this tell me? This told me about spatial variation. This told me about temporal variation. All the data is there. Surface samples kitna tha, subsurface samples kitna tha. It is all given there. Now, on both of this is what is the analysis I will do. This also and this also. This is the analysis I did. From this analysis, I did two different things. That is, what did I do with this? Using the surface samples, I also use their depth, grain size data, total organic carbon, salinity, temperature, all the information about this, which was primary data, some which I generated in the lab, some which I collected from NOAA website. So I used it to understand its ecologies of these 713 species. Then, using all these different kind of data on my subsurface samples, I was able to talk about past climate. So this told me about present, what are the different processes, what are the different ecologies, what is the ongoing process in the present. That is what this surface samples told me. All this helped me for past climate reconstruction using the subsurface. So this gives me a complete idea of what I did for my thesis. So you should all try to develop such a flowchart for your methodology, which makes it very crystal clear even while presenting and makes it easy. Coming to results and discussions. your results and discussions your results and discussions, like I already told you, your different objectives or your different experiments can be part of different chapters. Okay. So when we come to different, I know that I'm only talking about a thesis right now. I'm not talking about a paper in all this. But I want you all to understand that the underlying principle of research papers and PhD thesis is the same. Okay. Now coming to results and discussions. I want you all to know results, discussions, and conclusions are three different things. They are not the same. Please don't mix them up. Please don't confuse between them. Results. How do you get a result? What is a result? Results is divided into two parts. Result is first your observation. Just your observation. Let us say you are talking about blue litmus turning red. It turned blue, it turned red, or whatever. Okay. Or let us say pH. Okay, you collected water and water near the ocean had more. Can I request you to please mute yourselves? Yeah. So whenever we do observations, first it is very important to list the observation. So the first part in every experiment, write your observation. And on the basis of observation, what is your inference? So result is divided into two parts. One is your result, what you're recording, increase, decrease, numbers, change in color, change in species. So first is what you're observing. Record your observation. Don't directly say, नहीं number ज़्यादा हो गया, reproduction ज़्यादा हुआ है. किस basis पे? First, your observation is important. So when you're writing your results, you should first be able to give the observation in maybe numbers or graphs or whatever. So many, I found so many species. These are the names of the species. So your inference is, it has got so much diversity. Fine. So first is inferences and interpret. Second, then discuss it. So results have got two things. First is observe it. In what is your interpretation? And third is discussion. And how do you discuss it? You can discuss it. One, it is showing you can discuss it only with itself. It is different. It is more diverse. It is less diverse. It is showing poor stock. It is showing increased stock. It is abnormal, more number. How will you know that? Only on the basis of past literature. So compare it with other workers or say that this observation is for the first time. No one has done such work. That's why my work is important. Or I have found a different data with respect to others. Like I already showed you how you can describe it with respect to space and time. Maybe technology, maybe data. Conclusions are different. Conclusions is your last chapter. You can conclude at the end. For example, when I went to that, let us say, Asterotalia trispinosa, when I was developing a proxy, I concluded that Asterotalia trispinosa likes a salinity between 31 to 33 PSU. That is my conclusion. Okay? It is a low salinity species. It is only found in deltaic regions. One small You don't go on and on. If you go on and on, it is discussion. Conclusion should be short lines, points. You are concluding it on the basis of past discussion, past results. So what I did on my first, whichever chapter I said spatial data, I said out of 130 samples, I got 713 benthic species. This was my conclusion. In the last conclusion chapter, and on the second one, I said it is similar to Indo-Pacific. In the third one, Astrotalotis spinos, I said low salinity indicator. Fourth one, I said in the past 500 years, these 3 times, I had more freshwater influx, I had warming, I had more rainfall. So this is one-line conclusion of every chapter. In the last conclusion, I should go, and for every chapter, I should compile only the conclusions. The last chapter is conclusions. In that, I should take that one point of every chapter, or maybe one chapter if you're using, and put that last only as conclusions. In the last chapter of conclusions, you can also write limitations. What has been the limitation of your work? That I did not have enough data. I did not get monsoon data. I did not have access to isotopic data. I did not, in case we should do more sampling, we should do more characterization so that the information is more reliable. Such things you can add in your conclusion. Once you write the conclusion, you can also write the limitation of your work. And in the last, you can also write what is the future scope of your work. What is the future scope of your work? Then coming to acknowledgements. Now, one thing that I want to do is, once I come here, I think there's a different slide I want to show you. बहुत आगे चला गया है वो. Did I show you? Maybe I'll go back. I will come to it later only. Okay. I will come here and I'll tell you. Now, from here, I will go on. There's an overlap. In the first slide itself, I had shown you that a PhD thesis is a combination of many objectives. It takes 3 to 6 years. It is meant to make you strong in your knowledge and train you in project implementation, to develop your thinking, to make you an independent researcher or a good project manager who knows how to find a question, set goals and achieve them. Set goals, identify the right methodology, use that methodology and reach his goals. That is the work of a PhD thesis. That is not the work of a research paper. The work of a research paper is to report new findings. I found something, I reported it, it is new knowledge, I'm publishing it. Keeping the world informed about what is this new knowledge. Fine? So when you're writing, I want you all to know that every, what do you say? For a PhD thesis, how to write it, what should be a font, what should be your paper size, what should be your spacing, how should your top cover look. All this is given by your university guidelines. Similarly, for research papers, whenever you're applying in a research paper, there is an instruction to authors. In instruction to authors, they tell you very clearly that this, like I already gave you, this is introduction, this is methodology, this is results and discussions, this is conclusions. This is how it should be, acknowledgement, references. Usse pehle synopsis, right? But this is not how your paper is. Paper also, they will tell you, you should put a small introduction, you should have a methodology, and they'll tell you the paper should not be more than 500 words, 1,000 words, 5,000 words. So instruction to authors will be given by different, for every journal it is different. But for every university also, the prescription of what should be the format of the thesis, it is given by the university. A PhD thesis can be 50 pages to maybe 500 pages. It is concise, it is vast, it is depth. Whereas research paper, shorter it is, I'm giving you a tip. Shorter the research paper, faster it will get accepted. Why? Because printing takes money. It is a business. For that, for every word they print, they are giving you space. So, and plus, you do not find reviewers who can read. So, shorter the paper, faster it gets reviewed and faster it gets accepted also. If it is good, huh? Not just because of the length. Fine. So, after doing your conclusions, you come to PhD thesis acknowledgements. Acknowledgement is something which you should not be a miser with. That is कंजूस नहीं होना चाहिए. Never. Don't be a miser. Here, if you see, PhD thesis acknowledgement can run into pages. My PhD thesis acknowledgement is almost 6 or 7 pages. But research paper acknowledgement is very small. Research paper, I told you, 5 pages to 20 pages. PhD thesis, 50 pages to 500 pages. So, here, PhD thesis is taking care of many objectives, 3, 4, 5 objectives. Research paper generally deals with only one objective. So, because of that, the length of everything, research paper is a concised version of your thesis. Research paper is a concised version of your thesis. And that's why your methodology should also be completed in 200 words, 100 words. Your introduction, in your thesis, you will write maybe for 2 or 3 pages. In a research paper, your introduction should be completed in 100 words. Your study area in your PhD thesis can be a chapter. But in a paper, it should not be more than, it should be as per requirement. 200 words, 300 words. Right? Similarly, even PhD acknowledgement. Your PhD acknowledgement, you have spent 5 years, 6 years. It has to be expressive. When you say thank you, the other one should feel that you are thank you. This acknowledgement should not only thank your guide or a vice chancellor because he is sitting in a seat of power. It should also be for those people who gave you their chemicals, their space, their machines. Many people, PhD is not a single person's work. PhD needs financial, physical, logistic, mental, emotional support. All of them you must remember to acknowledge, because I always tell everyone, it is your marketing strategy. Your PhD is over, I will never come back. It is never like that. You never know who from these people who helped you is there in your selection committee. If not in your selection committee and assessment committee, they can be in your students' selection committee or assessment committee. They can sometime meet your children somewhere. Your juniors, you will think, he may say, so junior, why should I acknowledge him? Maybe tomorrow that same junior is sitting in a higher position, in a senior position. Your senior will retire and he'll go away. But your junior can hold a higher position tomorrow. So it's very important. I already tell people, never burn bridges. जिस रास्ते आए हो उस रास्ते को तोड़ो मत. You may need to go back. I used to always say, I never want to come back to Pune University. And like luck would have it, After my PhD, I'm back to Pune University. So it is very important to, and it's so simple, saying thank you. And when you say thank you, say it with your heart. It could be as simple as your peon, staying up 2 hours later every day to open the door. Never forget to acknowledge financial support. That financial support can come from a ministry, can come from your university, can come from a department, can come through industrial funding, can come through personal funding also. Every small thing you must remember, and that's why when you write your PhD thesis, write it daily. Remember who all helped you where. Statistical analysis, I don't know how to do it. My student knows. I must remember to say, it's like, I thank 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Thank for what? You must say, I thank him for this. I thank him for that. So PhD thesis acknowledgement is your personal forum where you must give respect and be formal enough, formal and personal. You can also write small incidents and stories, right? Specific mentions include specific mentions of supervisory committee, funding sources, and institutions that provided resources, right? And it is important to be expressive. If you can't write it, ask someone to write it for you. But when you come to research paper acknowledgement, can you see the research paper acknowledgement? Finished. I thank my Vice Chancellor for allowing me. I thank the ministry, grant number so-and-so, for offering me PhD scholarship, JRF scholarship for this. This person received his JRF from so-and-so institute. Over 2 lines, 3 lines. A research paper is a what do you say, maybe 1/10 or 1/25 of your PhD thesis. It has to be extremely formal, extremely short. In one paragraph, in 3 or 4 lines, your research paper acknowledgement should be over. If someone helped you in sampling, collecting data, you must acknowledge them. Not just in research paper, also in PhD thesis. If you don't acknowledge someone, it is considered plagiarism. Taking their idea, taking their help, and not giving them due credit is plagiarism. References. I hope you all know what's a reference list. We all know what is a reference list? Anyone knows what is a reference list? At the end of a thesis or at the end of a paper, you have the entire reference lists. I don't know if I have taken any of them because you have a complete session on referencing. But because I am saying data to draft, I am giving you some tips. Referencing means, let us say you have read my paper, you have read my PhD thesis, and you are citing it that according to Panchang 2008, Myanmar resources are less. You are using this. Myanmar is a place which is going to go underwater by 2050. Who is the source? Who said this? Into bracket IPCC 2007 or Panchang 2008. This should be listed in the end. Remember the difference between bibliography and reference list. Bibliography is all material you may have read, all material that you have. But reference list is whatever you have used in the text, whatever you have cited in the text, only should be in the list. So can you see this? Not in text, not in list. If you have not used Panchang 2008 while writing your thesis, you should not put it in the list. So what are your tips during references? 1, maintain a record of every article you have read. 2nd, make a folder for every chapter. For every chapter, make a folder. In that, all the references of that chapter should be in one folder. And list references of each chapter at the end of each. So in case you have used it, below, add all the references. And in the end, wherever there is duplication, let us say you have used Panchang 2008 in first chapter, second chapter, third chapter, fourth chapter. While compiling it, you will find it 4 times. Delete it and keep only once. Fine? Standard norms. Write simple English, but correct English. It is not important to have hi-fi words. Our aim is that our reviewers and readers understand us, not that they open a dictionary. Right? If they don't understand us, they will not be able to assess us. They will not be able to review us. Right? Choose between British English and American English. Choose one. Okay? Z, American English. S, Indian English. Right? So it's very important. Never use short forms or slangs. Right? Don't use abbreviations without first time you have used an abbreviation IPCC. First time you use IPCC into bracket, first write Intergovernmental Panel for Climate Change into bracket IPCC. Then throughout the chapter you can write the short form. But first time always write the full form. Don't write flowery language. That is poetic language or dramatic language. Write simple scientific language in past tense. This was done. Fieldwork was undertaken. So many specimens were found. So what is it called? It is called reporting speech. It should not be it should be scientific. It should not be grammatical and linguistic language. Wherever there are species, use the right terminologies. Every chapter, every science has its own scientific terminology, which you must use them. Yes. Use lots of illustrations. Create pictures. Draw them with your hand. Ask a professional to trace them. A picture speaks 1,000 words. Prepare illustrations, maps, plates to fit the layout. You read so many things, you know how layouts look. Do not include, when you're making a figure, I will show you a picture. Do not, when in that figure, don't include the title. Do not include titles and captions within tables and figures. I'll show you why. Tables have titles, figures have captions. Means if there's a table, the title should come on top. If there's a figure, the title should come below. That's called a caption. This is a rule. Tables have titles, figures have captions. Captions come below, titles go up. Use the correct abbreviation. That is KM has to be like this. Meter has to be like this. Somewhere you write capital M. Somewhere you write H for hour. Somewhere you write HR for hour. Second is not capital S, it is small s. You should also keep a space between the number and the unit. Scales in pictures, and always give the description of label your axis. Okay. Can I go ahead? Yes. Okay.
Yes, madam, please. Sorry, madam.
No, it's okay. So if you see here, remember what I told you? Look at this. Here, what he has done is he has created a graph, and this graph doesn't, what is this? There is no axis label. Here, what he has done, he has put in the name here only. There is no space between this and M. Here, the legend is here itself. This legend is not needed. So because of that, this has also, if I make this graph big, this will become bigger and the writing will become still smaller. So that's why never include these within the figure. Because when the figure becomes big, even the writing becomes distorted. Apart from that, here, it's not, what is this? There is no caption. Here, photographs and graphs have been put on one plate. Don't do that. There is no scale here. Here, in this, there's no scale. So you don't know how big this is. For me, I know what it is. For example, this is a few microns. This is probably 1 or 2 millimeter. But for someone, it may look like a meter long fish. Right? So scales are very important. Never include this. Writing could have put below. You could have typed it in Word. Doesn't need to be part of the figure. Look at this. A kahin hai, B kahin hai, C kahin hai. It's all not adjusted properly, not to move. Can you see? Here B is going out of the figure. Here. There's no orientation. There is no scale. I don't know what this is. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. They are all in different shapes. There is no scale to understand what size is it. Same here. Can you see this? On the basis of this, I can understand what is this size. If this is 500 microns, I will know what is this size. It has to be as clean, as uniformly numbered to be easy to understand. Now, for this, so many genera. Let us say I found 235 genera. When I put it, it just tells me. 235 doesn't make sense. I'll say 14% textual area. This I can write it in text. But when I put it in graph, it is easy for people to visualize. So always remember, whatever you have depicted in graphs, there is no need to again say it in text. It reduces your writing. An ideal graph comes with info on both axes. Font sizes need to be edited to finalize the graph. So when you're done this, see if it's visible. Fine. So having talked about rules, about compilation, let us come to the content page. Declaration, certificate, your contents page should be here after the certificate. First is declaration. First, a student has to declare that it is his own work and he has not done plagiarism. Then your teacher will certify it. Your teacher will not sign it. He is not supposed to sign it till you have said that it is my responsibility if there is plagiarism, that I have not acknowledged anyone. So first it is declaration, certificate, then your contents page should come here, acknowledgement, synopsis, chapter-wise listing of headings and subheadings. I already told you there should be a list of tables, there should be a list of figures. That is table number and the full title of the table as in the chapter. Prepare a checklist at 2 levels. That is chapter level and thesis level. That is, what is your checklist? Chapter level, it should have all these points, all these figures, or this table. All that gets compiled to form a thesis level. Have backups of your manuscript. Whenever you're saving a chapter, if it is finalized, write in the title, write the date. Let us say you finished a chapter 1, 30th of July. It will help you. It is by default, the day you have to submit, something goes wrong with your computer. So keep having pen drives, hard drives, save it in cloud, save it in your email, have backups of your manuscript. Save versions of your manuscript with dates, run spell checks and grammars, get someone, even if you have corrected, even if you have done things, ask someone to see your corrections. We cannot see our own mistakes because we know what it is, what is the correct thing, it is in our brain. And because it is in our brain, we cannot see that it is not there on the paper. So ask someone to correct your corrections. Take printouts. On the screen, we cannot really make out how it is looking in hard copy. Take prints. Out of sight is out of mind. If you don't do your thesis every day, you will forget what was done. If you don't go to your mentor will forget you. It is your work. You can give, you'll say, sir, I sent you the chapter 10 days ago. He doesn't know. If it is your need, go and meet him. Tell him, sir, I sent the chapter yesterday. Again, go after 2 days. Sir, I sent the chapter. You will have to give him enough time. If you don't go and see him, if you are avoiding him, he will avoid you. Never incorporate changes in a hurry. Remember to save them. Ensure a no data conflict. I'll tell you what. During my thesis, somewhere I had written 713 species. Somewhere I wrote 731 species. Somewhere I wrote 712 species. Somewhere I wrote 735 species. So in the entire thesis, the same information has different value. This is called data conflict. Somewhere I say that I had 136 samples. Somewhere I say I had 124 samples. Somewhere I say 133 samples. This is data conflict. So be sure that everywhere the information is same. Not all work done goes into the thesis. Remember, you may have generated, let us say, 10 kgs of data. But some of that data is conflicting. It is negating your hypothesis. It is diluting your strength. Such data needs to be removed. It weakens your hypothesis. It weakens your findings. Such data should be removed. Don't put it in your thesis. Because they'll say, here you're saying that oxygen was low. There you're saying, but your data is showing that your oxygen was high. Remember, either keep low or keep high. Don't, whatever you're getting as your findings, if there is any data which is diluting it, then remove it. That is in terms of, for example, some information is not helping your finding in any way. Remove it. No result is also a result. Remember that. Sometimes after having all done the work, you feel that I've not really found anything new. But your approach was new. Your samples were new. Your experimentation, your methodology, all was new. Okay? But then that is research. After doing everything, a new approach, but you did not get any new finding. So say my finding is similar to what people did in America. It is similar to what people did with old methodologies, old instruments. My findings are the same. Still, it is a result. Negative result is also a result. So don't be scared. As long as you have a new approach, new information, new data, new attempt, new methodology, you must trust it. It is good data. Time schedule, most important. Let us say, always prepare your time schedule backwards. You should know the date of your thesis submission. If you know that you want to submit on 30th March, you should start back calculating. 2 days in advance, you should have. I'm not reading it out. I hope you're all seeing the slides. Final draft, 15th March. The second draft is already prepared. And can you see? Your first draft is ready before your synopsis presentation. Most theses I'm seeing in the country, synopsis says that after synopsis, after 1 month and before 6 months, you can submit your thesis. I am seeing most people all across the country that people finish their synopsis in 6 months, they cannot submit. Again, they re-register. Again, they do that. I have seen people giving their synopsis presentations for continuously for 2 years. So, it is important that the first draft of your thesis is ready before your synopsis presentation. I always say, maybe this is the first day of your PhD. Start writing now. Prepare the maps. Maps takes time. Table take time. The descriptions take time. Every day, whatever you have done, write for 5 minutes. That will help you. You will forget what all data you had. You will forget what all experiments you did. So it's important that you have a logbook, and not just logbook, keep doing it in soft copy, because putting it in soft copy takes a lot of work. Now, I already told you how is a thesis and a paper different. Okay, how does the assessment criteria differ in thesis and research paper? In a thesis, people are interested in knowing what new knowledge you created. In a research paper, they want to know what was novel. What did you do which was novel? Right? What new? It is only showing you what is the significance of work. One objective or one report that you're giving, but it should be new, it should be significant. Something different contribution. Okay? But here, in the thesis, they want to know how much new knowledge you created. How it must be new. Method should be new. Approach should be new. Objective should be new. Okay? What is the scope? Here, the scope is large, comprehensive. It should cover the entire field of your research. Here, it should be focused on one single objective. I already told you. One objective, one single topic. Here, the depth, there should be lots of literature survey. You should know everything. It's making you a doctor of philosophy of that subject. So you must know everything. You must know past literature survey completely. But here, like I told you, one student can come for 6 months and work, and he can produce a paper. Why? Because he's working on one objective. He's working on maybe 10 samples, 20 samples. He can just do literature survey related to that one objective. He doesn't need to do everything. Fine? Here, they see your academic maturity. They want to know how much you have got prabhutva. That is, how much expertise you have generated. A thesis, when he is telling you you're a doctorate, he wants to see, when you say doctorate, aise lagta hai ki you have got 2 wings or you've got a halo on your head. That is how much your experience or expertise has grown. You become an authority in your subject. That is what your thesis examiner wants to see. Do you know anything and everything about it? But in a research paper, they just want to know that publication which you have made, that data you're talking about, do you know about how is that data generated? What is its significance? Are you reporting it correctly? They are not interested in knowing how deep your knowledge is, how vast your knowledge is. Here, you have to go through a written report and the oral presentation. Whereas here, it is only going to be a written feedback. Here, they will see overall development. Here, they are only interested in seeing how well the research paper is written, and they will tell you how to improve your writing, how the research paper can be improved. So in general, if you see, they see, thesis examiners see what is the depth of your knowledge, how original is your thinking, development, your methodology, how well did you set your objectives, what is your critical analysis, how good are you competent in your field. Disturbance. Ira is talking. Veera is not muted. Can someone mute her? When we talk about, can we? Can I request someone to please mute Veera? I'm really sorry. Yeah. Research paper reviewers are interested in how sound. It is just, they want to be specific. It is very, very short, crisp communication. They want to know how clear are you about the idea, how specific you are, how sound. Research paper is about precision, about being accurate, about being able to explain everything in a very short package, in 5 to 15 or 20 pages. They want you to be very clear about that one concept or that one significant result that you are giving the world. They are not interested in, you are not supposed to write everything in detail. You should know where to cut down. Cut down and speak only what is necessary. You should not describe in detail, except for your results and discussion. Yes, similarities. I think references someone is going to take, so I'm not going to look at this. I'm not going to talk to you about it. Let's come to steps to write a PhD thesis. You can see there are so many steps. Understand the requirements, your topic. Initial research means literature survey, right? All this, can you see? Avoid plagiarism. References, create rough drafts and refine them. Proofreading. I think I've told you all this, right? But if you see a research paper, simple. A very strong, short introduction, a detailed literature review, but even in detail does not mean in your thesis there could be 100 papers. In this, only related to that topic, you must know what people have done, maybe 4 or 5. Specify here now, not to describe the methodology. Here they have said specify the methodology. Okay, the result section. What is result section? What are your observations? What is the inference? That is result. Always remember, result is observation and inference. Add a section for discussion. Conclusion, like I told you, conclusion should be of a research paper, should be in 2 or 3 points. Again, this is not bibliography. It should be reference list. Your reference list, every citation that you have used to refer to your papers should be used in the, not in list, not in text, not in text, not in list. Remember that, right? I think with that, I come to the end of my talk. I think I'm well in time. And I'm open for any kinds of talks. It could be that some things you didn't understand, I was fast or I was not in detail, or maybe it was not in your context. If you have questions, I'm open to adapt myself to your way of thinking, and I may try to resolve it. Thank you so much for being patient.
Now session is open for questions. Anyone? Ma'am, myself, I have one question, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
What could be included in the synapses, ma'am?
What can be include? Okay. Have I stopped sharing?
No, ma'am, it's visible only.
Okay. You can, screen sharing has been stopped. Yes. 1 second. Where am I? I can't see where you are. Okay. Yes. Ma'am, in a synopsis, I don't know how it is, at least in Pune University or Goa University, I've seen, you cannot change your synopsis once you have submitted it. 1. What should a synopsis have? Again, your title cannot change. Even one S you cannot add. Even you cannot change spellings. So be very particular that your spellings, your titles are correct according to your registration document. Your synopsis should not be more than 4 or 5 pages. It can also be 2 pages. A synopsis is it is a summary of your thesis. It does not need your conclusions. A synopsis should be introduction. Okay, this paper outlines the significance. This paper outlines the significance. It tells you the different, the literature that has been studied. It outlines the objectives and the previous literature. That is enough for introduction. For synopsis, again, you can write a very small introduction. And for the first chapter, you can actually summarize what does the first chapter contain. You can say that the chapter opens to the significance. It first describes the significance of the proposed work. Then it does a literature review of so many papers. On the basis of so many papers, it has shortlisted or set its objectives.
Yeah.
And these are the objectives which are set. Okay, these are the objectives which are set. That is enough. First chapter. Second chapter. So it should just be a summary. This is the methodology is outlined about fieldwork, lab work. This it has to be very concise. One paragraph. That is half page or less than half page. It should just say this chapter contains this. It should not have conclusions. You can say it says it has used so many samples, so many fluid samples, or it describes the different methods of characterization used. You can actually, in two lines, you can complete it. For this reason, this method was used. For this reason, this method was used. But every chapter should be over with half a page or less than half a page.
Thank you, ma'am.
You're welcome, ma'am.
Any questions?
Either everything was understood or nothing was understood.
లేదా అదే ఎందుకు పేమెంట్స్ ఇచ్చిన వర్క్షాప్ ఈయన పోయినట్టున్నాడు అప్పుడెప్పుడో పోతా అన్నాడు
Any questions? Okay. Was I able to deliver from data to draft?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah? Okay.
Yeah.
This
Okay,
will
ma'am.
vary from person to person depending upon his field of work. He will have to choose his own context.
Now I'm going to thank you, ma'am,
Thank you so
Dr.
much.
Rajani Panchang, for your inspiring insights and for the sharing your extensive knowledge with us today. We are truly grateful for your time and expertise. A heartful thanks to all our participants for your active participation, and I thanks to organizing team for making this session a success. We look forward to applying the valuable takeaways from today, ma'am. Thank you once again and have a great day ahead. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes. I need the meeting. Do I leave the meeting?
Yes, I request all the participants, please fill the feedback link. I request all the participants, please fill the feedback form.